Hey people, I'll chit chat with you for a little while. It's Monday, the 9th of January. Cheers, 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 cheers. Cheers to Oscar, who just binge watched about 12 of my videos. Interesting how you do that. Apparently, if you wait and stack them all together, you get about an hour's worth or so of programming. Nice, Oscar. Well, folks, I'm just going to chit-chat. Nothing really heavy on my mind this morning. It's Monday, hoping for an interesting week of potentially good news for people. Hello, family. Stephanie, Adrian, Karim, twins if you watch. What's on my plate for today? Because, again, this is a Dear Diary as much as anything. I'm still waiting for them to remove the old water heater out of my backyard, and it's supposed to happen today, and I complained, and then, you know, it's just really rinky-dink stuff that I deal with. I think we all deal with it. I think most people, because they don't pay attention, don't see the incremental breakdown in basic services and how things run. I see. I'm not making it up. I see it. You know, I observe it. You know, and having to scream and threaten to complain to get this job completed is typical for today's world, because there's so much breakdown from the top down. How are we supposed to just go on like everything's just fine down here on the bottom end when there's so much dysfunction at the top, when the ruse that we'd been living under for decades, that somebody was in charge and that we had responsible leaders, that's gone. You know, only people who, some people still believe it, but for those of us that can see the obvious truth, there is no leadership. It's just every man for himself. Man, woman, whatever. So, waiting to get that removed so I can stop thinking about it. I see that even though the new Mana Mirage is not released until the first Friday of February, copies are making it their way to the different members who were people on the record, and so I'm looking forward to receiving my copy of the new Mana Mirage CD. Looking forward to really giving it a deep listen and a lot of attention right away, instead of kind of skimming over and coming back to it. I want to give this one some deep attention. I'm really, really happy and honored to have been a part of the Mana Mirage project with Dave Newhouse. If I understand what Dave says correctly, this will be the last one of the Mana Mirage recordings. We'll see. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, kind of in response to people asking me about the mainstream. And someone asked me, what is it about Kendrick Lamar? And really, there isn't anything about Kendrick. He was just he was someone that came up as a potential runner for someone of whose legacy may outlive him. I like good entertainment like anyone, but as I say, I don't see in the mainstream, as far as money makers, I don't see any big money makers who are also strike me as being artistically very interesting. All the people that people brought up yesterday, it's like, well, I answered, you know. And if you remember, or if you were around when I was on Adult Swim and I had my show Higgs Corner, the producer of the show that carried mine, Stupid Morning Bullshit, on Adult Swim, I forget her name right offhand, but when they came to Omaha from Atlanta to shoot some shows with me, she brought me a Taylor Swift album, and it's in the segment. It's on Adult Swim. Higgs Corner, Stupid Morning Bullshit. And I was honest with her then. It's like, you know, Taylor Swift is good at what she does. She has talent, but it's not speaking to me. And the other thing about it is that she is a very savvy businessman. So, businesswoman. Excuse me. All that gender stuff. People, please. She knows what she's doing, and she's doing it well. Is the music decent? Yeah, but does it speak to me? No. Someone else said that we tend to stick with the music of our generation. For most people, that's true, but I know that I'm an exception. Part of it has to do with, a long time ago, I just decided that I always wanted to keep track of the first thing every year, musically, that either I buy or catches my interest. And that's still true. So unlike being kind of stuck in the past with my favorite records from high school, which I have, I remain current as far as my interests. And that's why when punk came, you know, and then after that grunge, and then Britpop, all those things were of interest to me. Didn't have to do with my age. It had to do with my interest in music and culture. So yeah, there's people in the charts that are making good. They're good at what they do. And then I'll leave it at that. What's down here? Because yesterday was not a day where I spent a whole lot of time playing records. I had company, had some good conversations, spent some time planning, you know, kind of projecting things for this year, you know, but primarily to do with completing my album, trying to get a promotional video together for it, and finalizing the art for it, because I don't have a budget for art, so I have to work around that. I have some possibilities. So what's in the stack here? Left out. Legend. Parzival. Just like the record looks, this is a band that is taking from that old English or old whatever you want to call that time period to inform the approach to the music. So it's kind of keyboard oriented and slightly classical. Other than some of the vocals, which are just really not very good, the music is very good. And I think that that's why we don't know more about this album, is because the vocals were crap. Single by Stereolab, The Free Design. They, you know, named after that band, although it's not, has nothing to do with that band, The Free Design. Just Stereolab is just a great sound. This is an example of what I like. When you hear Stereolab, you know Stereolab. They're the kind of band that you can really dismiss, or you can really become a fan of. And I for one, love the sound. They do things that kind of just churn on and on and on. That's that motoric krautrock thing going on. And when it works, it's hypnotic. It doesn't always work. I think I mentioned this already, but I just love Kraftwerk. And played this again some more yesterday. Love Kraftwerk. Yes, I got to see that historic first tour of America when they did Autobahn. It was awesome. So, it was time to pull this old Porcupine tree. I understand Steven Wilson's attitude about his old music. He never wants to hear this stuff again. I understand why. You know, the way that Porcupine Tree started was a bedroom project. He re-recorded drums for this in 2004 with the Gavin Harrison, replacing Colin Maitland. So, I don't know that it's necessarily better as a result of that, but compared to the first album, Something About Sunday, this is pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. You can see where things were heading, and already Steven Wilson was displaying this tastefulness. He has taste. You know, it's like he's got a standard he's trying to achieve. He did it. He's already doing it on that album. That was originally out in 1993, a long time ago. Talked about the Holly Herndon, yeah. Yeah, so the only thing I haven't talked about is this. I pulled the Boris release from last year. They put out 2 albums last year, Another Heavy Rocks. And when I first got this, you know, it was like, okay, more Boris. And that was about it. So it was like, okay, let's go back. You know, there's several different color versions. Let's go back and catch this and see what's going on. Yeah, this is good. Okay. Would I add this to my albums of the year for 2022 now? Yeah, I would on the lower end. What's interesting about this is how they incorporate blowing free jazz type saxophone and horns on some of the tracks on this, and it works, and as a new element it's weaved in nicely. So I just had to be in the mood for that. 2 other things that got played. So yeah, the days are long. You know, there's long days are long, so there's plenty of time to listen to music. And like I said, I don't watch TV, so I default to either doing something personally with music or art, or my house, you know, knick-knacking and, you know, diddling with stuff, moving stuff, going through old papers, changing pictures. I listen to a lot of music, I do. And so yesterday I listened to this all the way through, Babe Rainbow by House of Love. And every time I hear them, it just again to me, they're one of the greatest bands from England. Much better, to me, much more to my liking than, okay, so I'm going to just try to not say they're better than, because people get stuck on that, and it's just all opinion. We all have opinions, folks. They're not facts. Opinions are not facts. I rate these guys much higher than bands like Blur and Oasis and Suede, and even the bands that were around when this was happening, Chapter House and Ned's Atomic Dustbin. House of Love wrote some exceptional songs. Exceptional. And listening last night, I almost listened to it all the way through twice because it's just so good. I'm glad I got to meet Guy Chadwick up in Minneapolis many years ago. I would love to have spent more time with him. You know, when we got eye contact, I'd see, yeah, you a nutty motherfucker. You one of my kind of people. Yeah, I'd like to spend some time with you. When I've met different people, I've noticed that about them, where it's like, you're an interesting personality, you know, in more ways than one. And when I say nutty like that, I mean it complimentary, even though I mean it both ways. That their person probably is kind of on a, you know, felt that way about Kawabata, Makoto Kawabata of Acid Mother's Temple. I've met him a couple times, and he remembers me. And when we have the eye contact and the little conversation, it's like, you'd be someone I would like to know and drink coffee with and make music with. The other thing that I played almost all the way through, I love the Yellow Magic Orchestra and the people associated with it and the way that they approach electronic music very much. This is the Ex Machina soundtrack, some kind of anime movie I've never seen. Really not interested in the movie, honestly. The soundtrack is primarily Yellow Magic Orchestra, plus Rei Harakami and some other folks, some other Japanese folks. This is nice. It's got the soundtrack on one DVD, it's got the orchestral arrangements on another DVD, and it's got the promotional videos on CDs, excuse me. And it's got the promotional stuff, videos on a DVD. Nice package. Love YMO. We're all getting old. We're all gonna die. But I sincerely hope that Sakamoto can just make it through. I hope he doesn't die this year. I hope none of those people die this year. I hope that, we're all getting old. I hope I don't die this year. I don't mind saying it. It's reality. We're all gonna die. I'd like to live a long time though. Wouldn't you? So, always seems like I'm forgetting something. I guess the main thing I always want to remember is to do what I've been doing, which is keeping that human spirit in these, which is, I'm just really want to encourage humaneness. It's not coming from the top. It's not gonna come from the people with the money. You get to a certain point where that's what it's about, is what I have, what I do, and what I can run. And people don't matter. We are disposable. It's really rather obvious to me. So if there's any mending that's going to really actually happen, it's going to happen from the bottom up. It's going to be us. So I just always want to encourage people to remember the golden rule. Start saying it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I'll say it. We don't see that happening in politics and in big business. We see people screwing others over for their own personal benefit. That's the opposite of the golden rule, and it's just trashing the planet and everybody in it. So come on, guys. When I say guys, I mean people, okay? This is old stuff. I'm an old guy before all this gender madness, okay? That's what I call it. I respect people who want to be called this or that, but I still call it madness, You know what I'm saying? Geez, I'm glad that I don't have that problem with my thinking, I got a dick, okay? So I'm a guy, all right? End of that story for me. But respect to people whose minds aren't that clear or that simple. I got love for everybody, including folks who don't love me. And that's part of the solution.